91 campaign.
You can't handle the truth.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
You have offended my family.
Hey, this is great, man.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
I know nothing.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
We don't need no stinking budget.
Homosexuality, immorality in general.
How in the century you have slurred the meaning of the words we, the people.
Be warned, this is not your mother's marijuana.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Welcome back, 48 after the hour, and we continue our coverage of the Great Oregon Pot Debate, and we will play the entire hour debate in its entirety, which is redundant, I understand. We will play the debate in its entirety at 4 o'clock. 7 o'clock also replay time, so 4 and 7 Pacific or 7 and 10 Eastern if you want to catch it. It's also online on YouTube. I think I passed the link through my Radical Russ Twitter account, and will be rebroadcast here in Portland on Sunday morning, and we'll make sure to tweet that out as well. So follow at Radical Russ if you want that kind of information. Now, earlier we played the video where Dr. Ronald Schwartzler claimed that 5 infants had died in Colorado from ingesting gummy bears, which he has now retracted officially on the Oregonian. But, and he was called out. He was called out by the audience, who openly shouted lies and wanted the source. Well, Josh Marquis also blatantly lied about Measure 91 last night. Unfortunately, it's one of those more technical things where it's not the kind of thing where people are going to shout lies and ask for sources. That's my job. So here I've got a video for you of Josh Marquis claiming that Measure 91 is a free-for-all that has no limits whatsoever and will have pot shops on every corner and the sky will fall and terrible things will happen. So here we go, Josh Marquis from last night's debate at Portland State. District Attorney Josh Marquis for the No on Measure 91 campaign has not read Measure 91.
There's nothing in there about how the things are going to be packaged like you've seen.
Section 7, paragraphs 1 and 2A grant OLCC all the regulatory authority over sales and production.
There's nothing that says how it can be marketed. There's nothing that says how many hundreds of stores there can be in Portland.
Section 7, paragraphs 2F and G grant OLCC authority to regulate and even ban marijuana advertising. Section 29, paragraph 2A grants OLCC authority to limit the number of pot shops in a city or county.
And in fact, it's a two-pronged thing. One is, as the OLCC, which has done such a great job of keeping alcohol out of the hands of teenagers.
Teen drinking dropped from 1/2 to 1/3 in the last 7 years.
We'll regulate marijuana for commercial sale, but then completely unregulated and untaxed, people will be able to have 8 ounces of marijuana, which is about 400 joints.
Section 6, paragraph 1 only allows 8 ounces of marijuana in the home if one is growing 4 plants.
We actually rolled it to find out. A pound of edibles, an ounce of hash oil, 72 ounces of cannabis liquid, which I never even heard of, and each household can grow 4 plants.
Oregon has the same public possession, edibles, and liquid limits as Washington, and lower home grow, home possession, and hash oil limits than Colorado. Measure 91 has taken the best from Colorado and Washington laws and improved them. Learn the facts. Vote yes on Measure 91. This advertisement produced by the Russ Belville Show and is not sponsored or endorsed by the Yes on Measure 91 campaign. And that video, of course, is available on my Radical Russ YouTube channel. So youtube.com/Radical Russ. If you'd like to pass that one around, I think it's important because they keep hammering away at this. Oh my God, it allows 8 ounces. And they need to be corrected that it only allows 8 ounces in the home. And that's with you growing 4 plants. So that if you harvest 2 ounces per plant, you're not automatically a criminal come harvest time. Plus, it allows us to give marijuana away to each other, too. So if you overharvest, you can then give some to someone else and still be under your limits. So this fear-mongering and outright lying about Measure 91 not containing any limits, if anything, it's a technical lie. because it doesn't actually specify a hard limit on the number of stores, but gives the OLCC all the power it needs to set up any hard limit it wants to set up. So it's very disingenuous of Josh Marquis to keep hammering away at this idea that Measure 91 is some sort of free-for-all without any sort of limits. Now, the other thing that was very exciting, you know, I followed Kevin Sabet around this state to 7 different appearances. And at each of the appearances, people were allowed in the audience. They didn't let people ask questions directly over the mic or anything because, you know, they didn't want it to get out of hand. Kevin Sabet's learned his lesson. If you let people talk about marijuana, they will, and they'll usually make you look bad. So they allowed people to hand in cards, little 3x5 index cards, and you could write your question on that. And at each event, I wrote my question down, hoping it would get answered. And it didn't get answered at the first few events. So every time I rewrote the question, I tried to hone it in just a little bit better, try to make a little bit more accurate, and hoped that it would eventually get asked. So it never did quite get asked, although I did ask it of Kevin Sabet personally when we were having a little chat in La Grande, but it never got asked at the forums. So at this event, the K2 live audience was allowed to ask on the microphone a question of the people in the debate. And I availed myself of that opportunity to ask him my question, which again, I had whittled down from 7 different writing attempts of it through the Kevin Sabet tour. And as I was told by Jeff Mapes of the Oregonian, who's the senior political reporter for the state's largest newspaper, he said it was the question of the night. And as far as applause breaks go, it got the most applause of the night. The second most applause was when Josh Marquis admitted that Oregonians grow better marijuana than Mexicans. And I was really, really proud of this moment and just so excited that it made the TV broadcast. The video is available at my Radical Russ YouTube channel, again, like the others, if you'd like to check it out. And again, stay tuned for the end of this show at 4 o'clock, top of the hour. We're going to replay the entire debate uninterrupted in its original form. So you can't accuse me of taking things out of context or editing it funny or anything like that. You'll get to see the entire debate coming up next, 4 o'clock Pacific, and 7 o'clock Pacific. We'll replay it again as well. And for those of you here in Oregon, in the Portland area, it will be on our K2 channel, which is channel 2 over the air. It's like 702 on the satellite dish and the cable, I think, something like that. But you can find it. It's the ABC affiliate, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. It will be rebroadcast. But now I present to you my question at the debate, the question the No on 91 campaign cannot answer. And now, the one question the No on Measure 91 campaign cannot answer.
Well, getting our questions from the audience, we have another one. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. District Attorney, I'm a 46-year-old Oregonian. I've been smoking marijuana since 1990 because I found it worked better for me than the alcohol that was killing me. I'm self-employed in my own home, so I don't affect the workplace. I have no children, so I don't affect the children. And I don't even own a car. I take public transportation everywhere I go, so I'm not affecting the roads. If Measure 91 is to fail, do you recommend that I continue buying from criminals? Do you recommend that I grow and become a criminal? Do you recommend that I go to Vancouver, buy, and bring it back and become a criminal? Or do you recommend that I cheat the medical marijuana program?
I promise you they're not cutting into your time, Josh. Go ahead if you'd like to respond.
I'm going to let a doctor answer Mr. Belleville's question.
All right, go ahead, doctor.
Cheating the medical marijuana business. You know, medical marijuana is still there. All physicians that I know are in favor of it. Now, if you've got a medical problem, maybe, I don't know what your problem might be. Is it so why do you need a drug?
Because I enjoy it more than alcohol, sir.
Okay, you've got a right to do that. But
my father was an alcoholic, and I figured I didn't want to go down that road.
Yeah, but it's still an addicting drug. Maybe you're one of these patients who won't get addicted, but 10% of the population will, but you're part of that won't get addicted. And I can't speak for you or for those people, but what I do speak for is those that can get damaged genetically and environmentally.
So the 91% of us who don't have a problem should continue to support a criminal market.
I didn't say that.
Well, that's the only option you're leaving me, sir.
Smoking, You know, smoking is the quickest way to get a drug in your brain, isn't it? 15 seconds it takes. Why do you use a drug? You use it to feel better or to not feel bad. Why do we need to do that? Why can't we? Anxiety and stress are normal things in life. We need to problem solve instead of using a drug to numb our feelings.
Do you recommend alcohol prohibition?
No. No, this isn't about alcohol.
We're going to move on to it. Thank you for your question. I do appreciate it very much.
No matter what you think about marijuana, it's here. 314,000 Oregonians aged 21 and older use marijuana every month, and 108,000 use nearly every day. Keeping marijuana illegal does nothing to deter use, but it does enrich cartels, criminals, and kids who deal. That multi-million-dollar business pays no Oregon taxes. The two best-selling pot shops in Washington state aren't in Seattle, they're across the river in Vancouver. Why let our Oregon money pay Washington taxes? Marijuana is never going away. Let's take the crime out of the equation. Vote yes on Measure 91. It's about time. This advertisement produced by The Russ Belville Show and is not sponsored or endorsed by the Yes on Measure 91 campaign. So there you go. That is the question that the No on 91 campaign did not answer. I did not get an answer from that doctor. He told me that, drugs are bad, and stress is normal, and you should just learn how to cope with it, But I do have a right to drink, apparently. He said I do have a right to that. So if I can't cope with stress, it's okay if I take the worst drug that's legal. The bankruptcy of prohibition is becoming more and more readily apparent to everyone out there. The Berlin Wall of Prohibition is crumbling, and Dr. Ronald Schwartzler and Josh Marquis stand with Governor George Wallace and all the bigots, the homophobes, the segregationists, the anti-miscegenationists, I can never say that word, with every person who's ever stood against the march of history and the arc of justice to be on the wrong side of history and to continue to oppress people who don't deserve it.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
That's all the time we got for today, but stay tuned. The full 1 hour debate is next. I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.